right now. This is the last 21, 22 years of millennial, right? And millennium, it's been pretty ugly. I want to discuss this. Let's bring in Slate Stone Wealth Chief Market Strategist Kenny Polcari, along with Bolvin Wealth Management President Gina Bolvin. Kenny, one reason some people are saying that maybe this bounce could have legs is that the Friday session and that Tuesday session were phenomenal. We had breadth was more than 85%. In fact, on Tuesday, it was over 98% in highs versus lows. Is that the kind of spark, or do we need something a little bit more substantial?
You need more than 2 days. I mean, listen, it's great that we had 2 days that were kind of back to back like that, but the market has gone through a lot of difficult times. There's been a lot of kind of internal damage done to the market, and it needs to repair itself. I love to have up days like that. I'm not downplaying them, but 2 days do not make the trend. And so I think you have to just don't get so excited yet that, the bottom's in, we're not testing again, and it's up from here. I don't think so at all. I think you need much more constructive action before you're going to start to say that it's over.
So with that in mind, Gina, how important is it then ultimately when we do find the bottom that the entire market bounce, right? Because for a long time, it was just a few sectors at a time masking, internal carnage.
Yeah, Charles, great to see you, first of all. And it's very important. Healthy markets have broad participation. We may retest the lows, but we think we're closer to carving out a bottom. And right now, the markets are just focused on uncertainty with earnings, interest rates, the Fed, inflation, a war. But eventually it's going to be resolved. We think the second half of the year is going to be better. We're going to see a healthy market with broad participation.
So then if the bulls are grasping at straws with that, are the bears overplaying it when they talk about the VIX? I want to bring this up. It's the so-called fear index, folks, because the bears keep telling us it's got to get at 40. You can see from this chart, we're nowhere near there. Although it's only been up more than this 4 times in the last 20 years. So, I mean, do you also think that do we have to get so petrified, Gina? Do we have to have one of these days where everything is down again, despite the fact we've already sold off a lot?
I'm not so sure that it has to be so dramatic, Charles. And I think everyone's using the same playbook, right? Sure, earnings are slowing. That's something to keep an eye on. But I do think that most of the bad news is really built in, and we may just bob along here until we get a catalyst, until we see inflation is waning. And, we could see a healthier market sooner rather than later.
Kenny, we've had this conversation many times. And still, folks are saying it. We need classic capitulation, which, would be a VIX over 40. Do we need that at this stage of the sell-off?
I'd like to be in Gina's camp and say we don't, but my gut tells me that we're going to get it, right? Because we haven't really gotten it. We need one of those days where it really feels anxious and nervous. And while we've had some down days the first 6 months of this year, it hasn't ever gotten to that point yet. So I'd like to see it happen just so it flushes out and then it's over with. Because once it happens, then that's really the bottom. You've gotten everybody who wants to be out. You've shaken them out of the branches, and then the market can start to repair itself. So while I don't think it's happening any day soon, I do think before this is over that it's going to happen.
All right, this is sort of related. I want to share a tweet I saw. It's from the Kobe letter. And because every time this market rallies, people who make money in it, Wall Street makes them feel kind of dumb. And this is the reason. Bear market rallies, relief rallies are intended to make you think that the bottom is in. The entire point of a relief rally is to trap more bulls and set up for a leg lower. Here's my thing, Kenny. Let's say you made 60% on Beyond Meat in the last 2 weeks, or 60% on coin in the last couple of weeks. I mean, should you feel like a sucker, or should you feel brilliant?
No, you should feel brilliant if you hit the sell button and you actually took the 60% profit that you made in the trade, right? If you take the profit, then you should feel like a superstar. But if you're riding it up going, oh, this is the bottom, I'm going to ride this all the way up, and then suddenly you turn around, we're going to get the day of capitulation, and those same names, the Coinbases and the names that you just identified, will be the first ones to turn south and go lower. So if you made 60%, ring the cash register and get out.
Right. All right. So, Gina, here's the bigger question. Who is doing all this setting up? Who is setting people up? Who is setting the trap, right? We keep saying the word trap. Is there a bunch of guys in a room somewhere smoking Monte Cristo #2 saying, we're going to suck them all in and then we're going to slam them?
Well, when you take, I mean, you're kind of spot on because when you take a look at what the institutional investors are doing, and when you look at their sentiment, you'll see that they're out of the market and they're bearish. And sentiment is as negative as it's been in '08 and '01. But I will tell you, this is not '08, this is not '01. The credit markets are strong, the banks are strong, and the consumer is strong.
All right, that sounds like a trifecta to me. Gina, Kenny, we got to leave it there. I love starting off with you two. Not only do you have brilliant insight, but a great sense of humor as well. Talk to you both real soon. And of course, folks, I always want to hear from you. Any kind of comment you have about the show, the guests, questions, please tweet me at CV Payne. In fact, we had a viewer yesterday, Donata, who tweeted, "Always learning from your show. My grandson calls it Money School." I love that name. Thank you very much. Of course, we always try to be there for you and all the other guests.